Hello everybody, I'm Kat and I'm going to be participating in this round of Contemporary-A-Thon. Contemporary-A-Thon is a week-long read-a-thon where you only read contemporary novels, and it is run by Chelsea over at Chelsea Darling Reads, Natasha from My Reading is Odd, and Julie from Pages and Pens, and I love those three. Their videos always put me in a good mood. They run Contemporary-A-Thon I think every couple of months or so. I think the last round was in fall of 2018. Contemporary-A-Thon literally starts tomorrow, so I've decided that I'm going to join in. So the very first challenge is to read your most recently acquired contemporary novel, and for me that is this paperback edition of Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. I do already own a hardcover copy of Foolish Hearts, but recently Swoon Reads sent me a box that featured this paperback edition of Foolish Hearts. I figured it was a sign for me to read this book. I've heard literally nothing but fantastic things about this book. This book follows this girl named Claudia, and she overhears the high school it couple breaking up. She finds herself suddenly thrown into this play alongside the recently broken up couple. It's about her kind of navigating these new waters of relationships and friendships. I am so excited to read it. I've been meaning to read it for like a year now, and I'm finally gonna get around to it. The next challenge is to read a book with blurple blue/purple on the cover, and once again I'm just gonna double up and read Foolish Hearts for this challenge as well. The next challenge is to read a diverse contemporary novel, and for this I'm going to be reading The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. It is becoming a film. The trailer was just recently released for it. I still have not read this book. I really love Nicola Yoon's writing. I read Everything Everything a couple years ago. I'm very excited to read this one. I've heard amazing things about this book once again. This book follows this boy named Daniel and this girl named Natasha. It's basically about how their lives kind of intertwine for just one day. The next challenge is to read a dark/emotional/hard-hitting contemporary, and for this one I'm going to be reading One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. This is supposed to be like Breakfast Club meets murder mystery. I love The Breakfast Club, so I'm very excited to read this book. Once again, I've heard very good things about this book. I have heard some negative things about it. I've mostly heard only really amazing things about it. All I really know is that it's about these 5 kids that go into detention one day, and 4 end up leaving detention alive. The next challenge is to read a book that you meant to read in 2018 but didn't, and for this I'm going to be reading A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahara Mafi. This book takes place in the year after 9/11, and it follows this Muslim teen girl as she moves to a different high school and is faced with horrendous people that are just absolutely cruel. But among those people she meets this boy who really wants to get to know her, and the thought of that really scares her. And this book, it sounds really good. I've only read one other Tahara Mafi book, and that was Shatter Me, and I read it like a year ago now, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I've heard amazing things about this book. Very excited to dive in. The next challenge is to read a book that is in a non-traditional format, and for this I'm going to be reading Orange Volume 1. I don't know if you would count this as a contemporary because it does have, I think, an element of time travel in it, but I think otherwise it's like pretty contemporary. I don't think it's like Paper Girls where it's like really out there in the science fiction. Paper Girls I would not count as a contemporary, but I think this one you can still kind of count as a contemporary. This book is about this girl named Naho, and on her first day of 11th grade she receives a letter from her future self warning her about certain events that are to come this year and how Naho can ultimately stop them from happening as long as she kind of does what her future self tells her to do. Once again, I've heard amazing things about this manga series. I think it's a duology. I really like the art style, like just looking at the cover and on the back here. I think it's really cute. And finally, the very last challenge is to read a book with a picture on the spine, and for this one I am reading Fireworks by Katie Cotugno. On the spine there are little photos there, like you can see photos there and there. This book I believe takes place in the 90s, and it kind of follows this music company as they are building up both a girl band and a boy band, and it's about the drama that happens between these band members and the music industry. I have not read a Katie Cotugno book before. I do own, I think, all of her books. I've heard kind of meh things about this book. Like, I've heard pretty mixed reviews about it, but the premise does sound right up my alley. I love anything with a boy band or a girl band or a band in general. One of my favorite books last year was The Brightsiders by Jen Wilde, which is about a band. I'm hoping I really like this book. It sounds right up my alley. Alright, and that is it for this TBR. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below if you you plan on participating in Contemporary-A-Thon and what books that you plan on reading if you are participating, because I would love to know. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post videos every Thursday, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!